Welcome to Business Spotlight. My name is Kerry James. I'm a business coach and facilitator. And at the Business Spotlight, we share insights, reflections, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. And today I'm delighted to welcome from Derek Gough Associates, the co-owner, Philippa Gough. Good morning and welcome to Business Spotlight.
Good morning, Kerry. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm really excited to be here.
You're very welcome. Let's start with a bit of an overview of Derek Gough Associates. There's obviously no clue in the title. So how long have you been in business, please, and what do you specialize in?
Yeah, we've been in business for 30 years. We were established when my husband started a quantity surveying practice back in 1983. So we just had our 30-year anniversary. And we specialise in construction cost advice. We're a team of 12 now, spread over 2 locations, Cheshire and London. And we provide services for construction contractors, for private individuals, and for architects and construction professionals.
Very good. Very good. So we are in early 2023. Clearly, it's been an interesting and challenging last 3 years or so with lockdown and inflation and interest rates and all the rest of it, Phil. But how has that all affected your industry and your business, would you say?
I think it's affected everybody in terms of how it's affected construction and our sector in particular. There is a huge focus on construction costs, which in the period of booming property values, construction costs were a factor, but they weren't an imperative. And now they are an imperative. To control those costs and to understand what they are. Not only financial costs, but the environmental cost as well. And I think over the next few years, we'll see those 2 things, the financial cost and the environmental cost in terms of carbon spend, actually become very much more linked in terms of viability projects and the value of construction work going forward.
Okay. So does that mean you think the demand for QS services has gone up? Do more projects use QS services now than they used to, do you think?
Yes, I think they do. I think the rise of the online tools has made QS services, cost management services, a lot more accessible to a lot more businesses. It's a lot more affordable than having a professionally trained quantity surveyor, RICS regulated, giving you a budget cost. I think that makes it far more accessible for businesses to control their costs in that way. And where we as a business has had to shift is to up our game and to provide value for those more specialist services that our team are trained to provide.
Okay, and tell us a little bit more about the move towards net zero in the construction industry. How quickly do you think is that being adopted, and what kind of contribution do you make to that movement?
I think we'll see. It's been delayed, I think, in the UK. The acceptance and implementation of carbon regulation in construction. Construction is a huge contributor to global warming. 40% of carbon emissions come from the built environment. So there is a huge pull towards controlling, and the first port of call is measuring that carbon spend within the project. Regulation and legislation has been slow, a lot slower than I thought it would be, given climate change is happening. And we're seeing the huge cost of climate change in my little friend's just arrived. Yeah, he really runs DGA.
Yeah, we always welcome furry friends on Business Spotlight.
So yeah, it's been a lot slower coming forward than I thought it would, but it's a difficult thing to regulate, and countries who have been at the forefront of this have all done it different ways. So there's no kind of one way that is the accepted way of doing this. But New York, for example, now any new planning permission, you have to calculate the carbon not only in the build, but in the whole life of the building. If you're going to get planning permission, without it, you don't get planning permission. It's the same in London now. So I'm expecting that to be rolled out nationally before too long. I think our government chaos has not helped that. I think our political leadership has not helped us in that way. And hopefully the next government will take a more proactive stance.
Okay, so we talked a bit about the broader kind of environmental changes. You're clearly a family business. You mentioned the base in Cheshire and the base in London, but what would you say are the key challenges to your business today, Philippa?
One of the biggest organisational challenges I think we've faced from lockdown and COVID has been the change to flexible working. And to systemize that into our organisation, because we're split on locations, and then we're split on flexible working as well. So there's been a huge amount of work in terms of making sure that the communication systems are there, that the team building and support systems are in place. And I, for one, feel that, we underestimated the effects of that in terms of the business and what we needed to do. I think we're almost there with it now, but I think we're in a 5-year experiment, and we'll see where it ends up.
Very good. Okay, so moving along then, Philippa, you mentioned being in business for 30 years. If you can reflect on what you've learned as a business owner, if you were to give yourself advice on that day one 30 years ago, what would you say would be the key piece of advice, key lessons you think you would maybe apply earlier, or the mistakes you've made that you've learned from? What comes to mind with that question, please, Philip?
What, when I was 10, you mean, Kerry?
Yes, indeed.
I think if I could give myself a piece of advice, it would be not to dwell on things too long. If something goes wrong, or if something doesn't go how you planned it, you plan a lot in your business, and you try and stick to that plan, but obviously the industry just laughs at those things, and things change and opportunities come up, and disasters happen, and you have to learn to pivot. And I think if I could give myself some advice now, I think I would say pivot more.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just try and drive the plan. Don't just keep flogging at it. If something's telling you that things should change, then they should change. And you need to have a mindset and a flexible management system to be able to move with those changes.
Okay.
That's probably what I would tell myself.
Okay, and then moving from the past to the future, what aspirations do you have then at DGA, please?
Oh, I'd really like to see this team that we've got in place now, really run with this business, really make it fly. They're really excited about it and motivated and eager to learn. And I just want to see them have a great experience and learn the fun of business, because it is fun. Running a business has been quite hard over the last few years, last 3 in particular. It's been really worrying, especially if you employ people. Trying to negotiate the assault course that Putin and the government throw at us all the time. Trying to negotiate those things is difficult, and trying to foresee them is difficult. So I'm hoping that that's behind us, and there's a stable commercial landscape for them to just really enjoy with the services that we've created and we've worked so hard, and the processes that we've engaged, which are just game changers. I'd like to see them really enjoy themselves now. That's my aspiration for DGA.
Great. Well, it's been great to hear your reflections, Philippa. One final question, if I may. If there are any architects or planners or anybody in the construction industry watching the Business Spotlight, what might be a next step if they'd like to engage and pick up things with yourself? Pick up the phone.
Ring me. Yeah, just pick up the phone, get onto the website www.dgough.co.uk. There's all sorts of interesting stuff on there about carbon calculation. There's free downloads of various things to help explain building costs to private clients, things like that. There's a lot of stuff on there. Subscribe to our newsletter, and I think there's a link for that on the website as well. Subscribe to the newsletter, and I put links for things we're working on all the time on there, which I know is going to be really helpful to architects, planners, and also construction businesses.
Very good. Well, we'll put the links to that site together with the video when we post it on LinkedIn, etc., Philippa. But thanks ever so much for your time and your input, and all the very best with DGA.
Thanks, Kerry.